Good afternoon, everyone. This is Sherry with Studio 28E Journal Creations, and I'm here to show you a journal that I created for my good friend Melissa Barnes. Well, after she receives this journal, she may not be my good friend anymore. I had so many problems with this journal that it wasn't funny. But she keeps saying to me, how can there be anything wrong with it if it's made with love? So I said, this may be the first time that you find out what it's like to receive something that's less than perfect. Well, I'm sure there's a lot of things we receive that are less than perfect that we love. Anyway, it's about 6.5 by 9.5. It's made out of an Edith Holden cover. It's also got Victorian, I think it was called Victorian Garden. Can't think of the name of it. Some of it, it's not all Edith Holden. I made this cover out of these mushrooms I made with paper clay, and these are from my garden. This is wallpaper I got from Melissa, and this is just a hitch from Tim Holtz, and this is a vintage dragonfly pin, and this is a doily. Well, I had a hanger on it, so I'm sure it's an ornament. I'm not sure. Maybe it's one of the things they used to hang from the shades. Some of you may remember it, I don't know, but here's some greenery from one of my trees in the back. And I've also got some gauze behind it. This is, what do you call it? I'll think of it eventually. Gimp trim. And this is just green, like stringy yarn that I use for the base. So let's open it up, and I'm going to try to go as fast as possible because I have the house myself and I want to do it before my husband gets home. Inside there's a pocket. This is the inside of the book, and these are the pages. Yes, and these are pockets I made from the, I don't know what you call it, the book pages that cover the, like the first part of the book and the last part of the book. So this is the second journal I've made. The first one I made January to June, and this one is July to December. So we've got the first page here of, I didn't do a whole lot of decorating, but you'll see. Anyway, I think I got this from Melissa. Here's a jade heart dangle from my junk jewelry. She likes that color green, so I thought I would add that on there. This is a page or 2 pages from the book, and this is some lace. I'm not sure if it's vintage. I got it at an estate sale. I got a lot of it. And here's some more July pages. I had to put a lot of the pages together because obviously it did not fit the book. So I did the best I could with what I had. So that's what I had it all together, and then I realized that there was something wrong with it, and then I had to take it apart and start again. And so Melissa, my heart was in this, but I'm sorry if it's less than perfect, like I said. Here's some hummingbirds I punched using my dies, and they're Coke cans or some kind of soda cans, and you dye them with alcohol ink. Isn't that pretty? This is just a little bag I decorated, and it's got some goodies in it. Some of them are vintage, some of them are Tim Holtz vocabulary cards. I think those are all vintage, everything that's in. This is a little tiny Tim Holtz paper clip, which I may have to change out because it doesn't really seem to want to hold this bag. But that's all right. We'll get it going here. Let's see. This is more of the Edith Holden book. You can see where I've pieced it together. Some I used like an adhesive tape. Others I used the washi tape. And some, when I put the signatures together, I actually used the fabric from the cover, which is actually at the back of it. It's like, I don't know, some kind of flowers. It looks fall to me, kind of vintagey, but I got it at a fabric shop in Amish country. I believe it was Mansfield, Ohio. This is from that Victorian garden. And see, it's a lot like Edith Holden because they were here, I think it was, I don't know. the author wrote in it. And you can see where there were little lines in the book, which, I mean, they're pre-printed, but anyway, here's just a page. A scrap of paper with a pocket and a vintage letter from 1940, and I do not know what it says. Hopefully. And here's a piece of my Blueberry Eco Dye paper. Here's a flip up and a tuck spot. And here's a vintage picture of a young girl. Could be somebody that looks like Edith Holden at that age. She looks about 11 to me. I don't know. This is some of my cranberry dyed paper. Not cranberry. Avocado dyed paper. I dyed it with a doily. And this is just scrapbook paper. And here's a paper doily pocket I made using some homemade paper that I purchased. And it's a vintage postcards from 1909. And I guess there was a poppies on there. Here's some vintage graph paper. Here's a pocket I made out of a piece of an old doily. I don't know if it's antique. I got it at the same place I got the lace from. She had some beautiful fabrics and lace in there. And there's a tag I made using a Tim Holtz flower. This, I know it looks kind of modern, but I thought it looked like watercolors with florals. And I stamped on it. Here's part of an eco dye paper. I think it's blueberry. And these pages, this side doesn't probably look quite as nice as the other side, have been run through. This is watercolor paper, and I ran it through my my cotton boss with hydrangeas in it, squeezed out the color, and you see the print. So it's an eco dye. This is from that, oh no, it's from an art book. And I had various artists, so I don't know. And that's the other side of that paper. There's a paper clip. Here's an envelope with some goodies in it. Here's the other side of that paper. Here's the graph paper, the other side of it. Here's a scrapbook paper. Here's a vintage Uno score sheet. I didn't know you keep score in Uno, but my husband said yes. And there's another flip up. Some more of the avocado dye paper. Here's a belly band. There's a pad, scrap pad, and I covered it with some.
What you doing?
Some fabric from Sorry Soap fabric. More of the scrapbook, and here's a piece of snippet that I did. More of the book. Some washi tape. Now on to August. Here's a tuck I made, and there's a couple of little cards with mushrooms, and you can write on the back of them. And there's decorated with mushrooms and whatever, and field notes and whatever. And here's the other side where I made it a flip over. With some more of the book. This is September, and these look like poppies to me. And there's some lace. Oops, I need to glue that back down. I'll go through it again before I send it to her. Here's some more of the book. Here's some more of the book. And I had a raspberry sticker. Or blackberries, maybe, I don't know. Some vintage dictionary. There's a tag I made using flowers and leaves from my yard. Some trim and a metal piece, and then that's a brad. And I put it in his pocket, and these are Tim Holtz flowers that were punched. This is just texture for texture. It's yarn. And this says protected, and there's some more of that vintage trim. Here's some more of the stamps. There's some more pages from the book. Here's some more of my snippet. More of the pages. There's a belly band. Here's a large tag. Well, it can also be used as a writing board, I suppose. Here's some eco-dyed paper that I think I left in the sun is what I did, or used the bottom of the pan or something, and it made it kind of dark, like a avocado green. And here's a page of vintage writing sheet tucked into that. Not vintage, eco-dyed writing sheet tucked into that. Some vintage school music paper from lessons. The other side of the eco paper, some acorns, some of the book, some more of the book. This is from that other Victorian garden. Now on October, we've got some more lace and another charm. Here's a sticker of oak leaves, butterfly paper. Here's a vintage bingo card that I decorated. And flip down kind of thing. Some lined paper. Here's some more of my coffee dyed paper. I did dyed it with a doily. The other side, there's some more music paper, and I put a little bit of a stencil on that side. There's another page from that Victorian. That's the center of that signature. Some more of the music paper from the school book. Doesn't have a, well, it does. I don't do Roman numerals. Here's coffee dyed paper with a doily. There's lined paper with a sticker. There's a tag with some Tim Holtz flowers I punched out. I did with the die cuts, and I watercolored them, and I added some mushrooms and butterflies, some lace and some moss. It can be written on the back. This is from that Victorian book. This is an Edith Holden page. Eco-dyed paper, music sheet. This is, I think it was what was left over, the eco-dyed paper. The water that I use is maple leaf from our yard. Edith Holden. And I don't know what this paper is called, but I used it for this section. I made this using foil tape and corrugated cardboard, and there's a ladybug attached. And here's a poem from Norman. It was Gail. This is one of my eco-dyed pages. The other side is a stamp. This is avocado dyed. And it's got an Edith Holden postcard and a vintage book page. Coffee dyed paper for writing or whatever. There's a lot of plain paper right here. This is, I think this is for calligraphy. It's vintage. Okay, and here's some avocado dyed paper that I made into a pocket. And that's an eco-dyed card using hydrangeas on one side. Actually, I think it's got, oh, you know what, because I put something on top of it, so the other side got a different kind of leaves, and then that's got the buds from the flowers, or whatever you want to call them, blossoms. And this is just a page topper that I made, and it's got some moss on it and a little bit of leaf trim. Coffee dyed paper, grammar school writing paper. There's another Tim Holtz die cut, watercolors. More of the same plain. And this, something can be tucked in between those two cards. They're vintage good cards. Here's the tag I made using some Tim Holtz items and some sticker. This is some more of that vintage crochet, and there's a piece of lace, yellow flowers. There's the other side of the avocado dyed paper. This one is eco dyed, but it's got also got rusty bits. I put in paper clip, a washer. I don't know what kind of paper clip that is, but that's another paper clip. There's a pocket made from that vintage. This is a vintage German dictionary page. Some more eco dyed paper. The other side of it, you can see the rusty bits. There's 2 pockets that I made for a flip out, and it's got a vintage. This one has a poem from Robert Louis Stevenson, and it's got a vintage postcard in that pocket. And there's the hydrangeas. And this one this journaling card has flowers from my yard, some dyed gauze or cheesecloth, and then that's a Tim Holtz that I painted, and that's just a brass sleeve. And then there's some of that stringy, fun kind of yarn at the bottom, and hydrangeas again. Some more Tim Holtz flowers that were painted. And there's one of my die-cut dragonflies out of a tin can, soda can, and some stickers and a piece of tea bag and some stenciling. And you can see where the dye came through on the other side. There's some grammar school paper. This can be a tuck spot. This is one of my came out of my plants. There's quite a few empty pages in here. I didn't realize it, but you can decorate them, write on them, whatever, tear them out. There's a woman, and looks like her daughter. I thought maybe that could be Edith and her mother. And that's the end of that. And here's some more of that paper. I forget what it's called. Gosh. Mulberry. There's an Edith Holden picture. And on the back you can write. It's a journaling card. Tim Holtz flower on some gauze. Coffee dyed paper on the back. More of that trim. There's a piece of vintage jewelry. I have no idea how old it is. I don't know where it came from. I don't know if it's an earring. I have no idea. But I thought it was pretty. Now we're into November, and you can see the signatures. November has some of my snippets on it. I think this is where I got lazy. I don't know. There's a pocket, and I'm not going to take this out, but I'm not going to open it because it's brittle, but I've taped it, so when she opens it, it's from the Needlecraft magazine, but that's the floral page, advertising flowers. And it's Edith Holden. It's a calligraphy. Here's from that eco dyed paper. Eco dyed. This is actually a flower. It was yellow on that side. Look, you can see that it's yellow on this side. Well, I don't know where the other side is. It was matched up to something else. But this side is totally different. Brown with something else. This is from Edith. This is a cutout from the Edith Holden book. And it can be taken off and opened up and written on. And here's a paper clip. There's a piece of ledger from 1910. There's a rusted bell. There's some more of the term, or the paper trim from Melissa. There's a pocket I made for winter, and I put some vintage like tea cards in it of different places. Well, actually they're from Philadelphia. This is from the artist book. I don't know what this paper is, but it's very brittle and they tear apart, so it must be some kind of note paper from way back when. And you can hear the street sweeper go by. And this is eco-dyed paper that was the bottom of the bin, and it turned out to be like an avocado color. Here's an autograph from 1891, and this opens just so no one messes with it. Opens up, and you can write inside of that. There's some gauze on this handmade paper. I didn't make it, but it's handmade paper. And a piece of a doily, some more gauze, a piece of ribbon, and a Tim Holtz flower. There's a bird page from Edith Holden. Here's just a little bunch of paper that it's not tied together, or I'm not going to take it out, but it's in that belly band. And there is a tag in there. Tim Holtz tag. And this is my snippet, piece of my snippet roll. There's the homemade paper. There's a tag right on the back. It was embossed. The back was embossed. Here's another one of the doilies with that paper, and there's a bunch of calling cards. I don't know what that is. I guess I could look it up. I don't know if it's wine, I would say. There's a 5-cent coupon. Here's some cigarette cards. Here's a bus ticket. There's some hat sizes that go on hats. And some receipts. Malroy hat. Piece of embossed paper. This is a music card. Isn't that cool? Or some pretty doll. Here's 2 bridge cards that I thought looked vintagey, so put them in there. Another page, 3 died. Edith Holden's page, Edith Holden. The pocket, there's nothing in there. I'm not sure. This was a yarn flower. And a piece of lace and some silky fabric and some more of the lace. There's a butterfly charm. Some more Edith Holden. And here's a card I made with a bird and doilies and butterflies and a flower that looked like it was almost real. But nature always wears the colors of the spirit by Emerson. And I put some floral trim there. So, that's it. I hope you enjoyed it. And this, I put a different kind of trim on the outside. I hope she likes it. Like I said, there are plenty of errors, and I have to cut off all these long strings. But she's going to tell me she likes it, whether she does or not. So, you know. But I hope she tells me the truth. But thanks for watching. You can join our group, Studio 28E Journal Creations. I am also now in with Fifi McLeod. I think that's how you say her last name. I'm not sure. Check that out. We are collaborating a group together, and hopefully that will bring us more attention and more subscribers and more YouTube subscribers and members to our group. And this is not going to be listed. This is, you know, like I said, for Melissa. So if you have any questions or comments, please leave me a message. If you're interested in, you know, some kind of journal, check out my Etsy shop. Or I can, you know, I also make journals, custom journals, and just let me know what you think, or if there's anything that you're interested in. I can do just ephemera. I can do dangles, and my dangle isn't on here, but I did a dangle for this. So anyway, I did spend a lot of time on this, but it's not what I had hoped. It's not what I envisioned when I started it. So hopefully everything will go well and she'll be happy. Well, thank you for watching. I'll talk to you soon. I'll see you over at Fifi's or in our group's Studio 28 Journal Creations. And we'll see if we can get that back up and started. I mean, it's still there. I just haven't been really active. Get you active and me active and start doing challenges and whatever. Like I said, both groups are going to be interactive with each other. So what you see in one group, you might see in the other, or you may not. We may just refer you over to the other group. I don't know. We'll see. Well, thanks again for watching, and I will talk to you later. Bye-bye now.